Yes, today we're going to cover section 5, which is laying a foundation in building responsive design. We're going to deal with more basics compared to what we've been talking about um, all this while. So, I'm going to start with my advice, which is what I always do. I encourage people to first build for specific type of screen. Master the art of making individual screen perfect, as it is a crucial step before building responsive designs that adjust dynamically based on the app width or the app height, right? Or before referencing team default properties or more advanced techniques. So it's very important for us to master specific kind of screen, understand how to work with header footer. So when you start making responsive design, it will be much easier for you to jump on more advanced stuff. Now, my recommendation, there are, if you can master these things, you can actually understand how to flip between containers that should be horizontal or dynamically, right? Or you can also reference and make good responsiveness in terms of your design. And the first one is data manipulation. You need to understand how to connect, manipulate, and display data effectively. Like if you want to get the app weight of a particular screen, and you also want to put in some values in, if you can know at least the screen, you can be able to remove some values away from it. I'll demonstrate that quickly. So as you can see in the screen, you can see that I'm able to get the app value, which is that the app weight by default. And if I change this to landscape, you see that the app weight is now 12. Now I can set the padding or the X value to be based on the app weight, So if I get into my value, which is this, containers are looping inside of each other, so I'm trying to get this exact one. All right, now if you look, this is the app weight. It's telling me that this is 1366. Now if you look at this particular container, if I look at the X value, that's the position, you can see that the position is taking the content, like referencing the menu container, and it's adding 20. Like if it's visible, because I've made it to disappear, if it's on landscape it should be there. But if I change it maybe to a smaller screen, I check which one. Responsiveness doesn't affect all, but if I change it to something like this, you can see that the menu bar is off. So if it's visible, the container width is adjusted. If it's not, and the visibility of that particular menu bar on screen is actually based on the size of the width, as well as the header as well. I've made it, if it's mobile phone, the header and the things that shows there is less, so that it will be much user friendly. And if it happens to be maybe iPad view, take yeah, maybe iPad view, change, because this is a larger screen. Yeah, so for larger screen you can see that we have more controls. So this is just all about referencing and manipulating the default thing. Yeah, so back to where we were. So you need to understand how to manipulate data and how to add, subtract, reference values and all that. And the next thing is you need to understand global context variable. You need to know when to use it and how to use it. We're going to touch we're going to touch this on another topic. Another thing you need to understand or know at least is conditional statements. You need to master conditional logic, if, switch, and all those other looping stuff before the basics. If you can understand if, it's nice. If you can understand switch too, it's also very it will take us to like further. Now, one thing we need to understand before we get into layout and responsive design principles, we need to touch three things, right? One is commenting. Like before you just dive into doing responsive design and all that, and you make very nice solutions, and you forget to touch on the basics, it won't really take you so much far before you get to meet younger ones that are coming into the space and doing better. So one very basic important thing you need to understand is commenting. It is very, very, very important. So commenting is the best practice that does not only help you keep track of your own work, but also makes it easy for others to understand your app logic. Now, in some scenarios, you get to build some solutions and then you export it for people to use or your training. If you're like training like me, and some of your people would want to like jump on and see what you've done. If you don't comment, they won't be able to know where you stopped and what to add to it, and also understand. Even you for it's just like in pro development, your app needs, your codes and everything need to be structured properly, right? And also you need to do proper commenting on them so people know what you're doing and all that. So for commenting, we have the single line and the multi-line. If you look at the screen, you'll see that the single line starts with a double backslash. And for the multi-line, we have the single backslash asterisks and then your lines of comments and whatever you want to write. And you close it with first with asterisk and with your backslash. Now, one thing about commenting, especially the multi-level one, is if you're trying to build a solution and you're writing some codes and it's not really working, or maybe sometimes it works but you want to try something better, instead of deleting entirely, you can put your comment between the, so it's more like telling your solution not to recognize that, so you can work on your new stuff, reference what you've done, and when you're perfect and you see that okay, the new stuff you did is better, you can delete your comment off, right? So it's more like instead of deleting things, you can actually do your multi-line comment between your script or codes, and then when you get a better solution, you can pull that out. So for you to understand single line and double line, I'm going to just show one very simple logic I've done. So in this scenario, what we've done is we're utilizing a statement, but I want a situation where someone comes in to understand what I'm doing. If you look at the code without commenting, you might not even understand what's happening. But what this is doing is it's trying to toggle between the value of new record new record pop-up value. It's just trying to toggle between false and true. Now, I've put in a single comment at the top, but at the same time, you might not really understand it, but I've also put in some comment by the side. So if you start structuring your codes like this, even in other solution, not only in Power Apps, but in Power BI, you start putting comment. It's very nice and very good. There are different ways to add comment to your stuff, either use the single or the multi-line. Now for the multi-line, you can see below the code, you can see that I've used the syntax that I've shared in the previous screen on how to comment. And when you come in here to see, you could be able to tell more about yes, in your comment. So you can actually start your comment, your single line comment at the beginning, start, or after your code, right? You just need to do it, put your asterisk and everything from the starting of your double backslash to infinity of that same line is uncommon. You do not put such at the start of your script or whatever it is. So that's about comment. Number two will be referencing dynamic values, right? You want to be able to reference. The best way to actually have a good experience with referencing is just look at different control name in your Power Apps, put the name of the comment and just put dot. You'll be seeing different kind of dynamic values that you can reference. That's the best way. And this reference help dynamically change how your app behaves, like based on user interaction, external data exchange, and we're going to do something exciting on the next slide. Well, what is exciting is just more like for you to do a little work, right? So put into practice what we've said. Now, just think within yourself, we're going to have a form and a button. Now, the form by default, you want the form to be on maybe new, but when the form is on new, your button should say submit record or submit form. And if your form is on edit mode, that same button should change the wordings from submit form to update record, right? So how do you do this? You're going to reference the form name and the form mode. So you say if the form, put your form name dot mode, form mode if it's equals to edit mode, that's form mode dot edit. Then you make the changes of your button. Yeah, you can actually do this. So if you can do this, insert form, add button. Now, if your form is in edit mode, just make the button say update. And if it's in a new mode, you just say add new, right? It's very simple. If you try it, you'd see it's very easy. Now, if condition is just to evaluate condition sequentially and returns the first true case, right? Syntax is if, open bracket, you put in your condition. Once you put in your condition, if it's true, the result. If it's false, the next value will be your false result, right? But in this case, we have statement syntax for comparing more than one condition. First condition, the second result. If the first condition is not met, then the second condition. So that's what we do gradually until you get to the default. And the next would be another very powerful conditional statement is the switch. The switch evaluates an expression against multiple conditions, right? It just gives you the condition, gives the value, and the result. So the condition is like a name of that condition. Now, what's the value of that condition and the result of that condition? That's what you see value one, value and result one. The condition, second condition will actually start and it's just the name of the second condition, the value it needs to check that condition for, and the result. And the last will always be the default. Now, our mini project will be we'll focus on creating a secure page within Power Apps. This page will only be accessible to a specific user, adding an extra layer of security. Often, app makers secure entire app page to a particular group, but sometimes you need an additional layer of security for a smaller group of users. You may not want to create a separate group for these individuals, and our project will demonstrate how to achieve this using the fundamentals that we've covered like in the previous screens. Now, begin to stay tuned to see what I'll be doing. So I'm going to share my app screen. Yeah. So in this screen, we're going to simply just play around trying to set secured screen. So, right. So let's dive into what we have for, yeah, good. So now the first thing we're going to do is just open it in different screen. Okay, let's just work with this one. I just click on this, or let me just go to normal view. Canvas size will be fine. All right, so I say don't like, I like the frame. I actually like the frame. Okay, that's what we'll do. All right, so what we would do now is just to click on this here. So what we have currently, it's like a screen for people to actually sign in. I'm going to make it in a way where we need to watch out for the value of what we'll be putting here. And if it makes sense, then we can log in, else it will be disabled. That's what I'll be doing now. Let's watch out. All right, so what we want to achieve is to see how we can lock the screen, right? This is just like normal text box, and I can just run you through what I've done. This is a container. This is a text box. You can see it's a text input. This is also a text input, and for the text input, I've made the type to be password, right? And this is just a button. So currently what the button typically does is, if you look on the on select, it navigates to the dashboard, right? But what we want to do is to see how we can add additional layer of security. Supposing you jump into here, there are some certain people we still want them to access the dashboard. So what we have to do in this case is, under the login button, I'm going to go on the display mode. Under the display mode, I'm going to start with a normal comment. I can say to if check if the email failed, if the email text field is equal to user's email, just something, and check if the password is 12345. So what I need to do in this case, I just start with if. And if I say if, I'm going to reference, you see this particular text box is called email text, right? So I'm going to put it here and say if the email text dot value, if it's equal to the user email, sorry, dot email, good, yeah, and and if the other one is password text dot value equal to 12345, comma, then this display mode dot edit, else display mode dot disabled. That's it. And I format it just to make it clear. So in this case, now we don't know what the value is, so it's like we don't know it. So even if I put 12345, I can make it visible. I'll make it visible just for you to see. And if I say text, you can also see that my value is saying that if the email value, if it's not user, it should say wrong email. If it's correct, it should say right. I can also manipulate the color as well. To just go to the color, font color, and then also specify. So that's how to just use dynamic and make it interactive. Now you can see wrong email. I just need to complete it .org, and you can see it's saying your email is valid and the password is definitely valid. So even if I close this and make it password so people don't see, it still will let me log in. So if I log in now, everything is wrong and correct. If it's wrong like this, it's disabled. If it's correct, then it takes me to the dashboard. So that's a good way of adding additional security, and that's actually what our project is about. So with this, you can actually add more things and see how you can actually play around dynamic value, check the values of text box, and check values of galleries or whatever you play with. Just try to play around with gallery and you would actually enjoy whatever you're working with. So with this, thank you so much.